Two things about anti-vaxxers: they're going to be loud, and there's not that many of them.
Not since the Jersey Shore cast has any one group of people been so overrepresented in our media. Look at the NBA. Pages and hours of coverage have been spent fixating on the tiny few who reject the scientific reality of the vaccines. Same for the sliver of teachers and healthcare professionals who have chosen or just threatened to quit rather than abide by blue state vaccine mandates in places like New York. Reading the coverage, you might assume that pro basketball is screeching to a halt, and kids are sitting in empty classrooms unsupervised. But that's just not true.
So instead, let's look at the numbers like this.
Over 95% of NBA players have gotten a shot, meaning that every article or segment that focuses on those vaccine refusers is about 25-ish people. And despite the public tantrums and threats to quit, the same is true for over 96% of New York City teachers. For reference, this means the proportion of unvaccinated people in these groups is smaller than the proportion of Americans who believe in chemtrails and the healing power of crystals. And yet, we don't see those Americans being plastered all over TV and papers.
Now look, most of us would agree that a lot of this is newsworthy.
When influential public figures, who can move their followers and fans to swarm brands, to buy products, or even to violent action, choose to use their platforms during a global pandemic to spread incorrect ideas and conspiracy theories, news outlets should mention that. When the people we trust to educate children or care for the sick are flat out denying scientific and medical reality, that's something we'd like to know. Ignoring something doesn't make it go away. And just because a group is small doesn't mean they're unimportant. 99.9% of Americans aren't in fascist militias, but that doesn't mean the explosion of militias in the past 3 decades isn't wildly concerning.
But the incessant focus on anti-vaxxers without the proper context of how small of a share of the actual world they are isn't just a media framing failure. It can have actual negative effects.
Studies show us that over-amplification of extremist views can actually cause many to overestimate how widespread they are, thus actually contributing to them becoming more widespread.
Basically, someone who's on the fence about getting the vaccine is going to think a lot differently about it if they believe they're part of half the country. But they're just not.
As of October 2021, almost 80% of American adults had gotten a jab in their arm. For perspective, that means vaccine holdouts are a smaller percentage of the adult population than those who believe in the conspiracy theory of a coming authoritarian 1984-style New World Order. So it's not that vaccine refusers aren't a threat to public health, it's that improper coverage of how small they actually are only amplifies that threat.
So instead of fixating on the loud minority who reject modern science and medicine, let's instead celebrate the overwhelming majority who accept them. To those, we say,